It's been 2 years since Soma Saito released two of the best albums in his career, My Beautiful Valentine and Yin Yang. And as of this episode, I'm recording this in June, right after Soma Saito announced a couple of awesome things. Soma Saito is already working or has completed work on his third full-length album, and we have a lot of awesome things in this summer of 2024. So let's talk about what is new in Soma Saito's solo career. Let's kick off this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today we are going to talk about the recent announcements by Soma Saito for his solo career. You know, this was bound to happen because when Soma Saito is active, I don't stop talking about him. So it's been 2 years since Soma Saito last released My Beautiful Valentine, easily the best album ever composed and created by a male SEIYUU artist, by far the best, and Yin Yang as well. Because those two albums, it doesn't seem like it, but they were released both in 2022. And 2 years later, and after a lot of time waiting because Soma Saito's fans have to be patient, we finally have some news. And to celebrate his 7th anniversary as a solo artist, in June 2024, Soma Saito announced that he's working on his third full-length album. At the time of recording this episode, it doesn't have a title yet. And the release of 3 digital singles, they will be consecutive singles and they will be all included in the new album, as well as to cap off the year, a live tour to visit firstly Osaka, which was a city he didn't get to visit last time around because of COVID restrictions, and a couple other cities, and especially places that are not usually visited by male SEIYUU artists, usually are visited by indie rock acts, which is quite awesome. So let's talk a bit about all of these and geek about a bit of these, because I need to geek with someone, and you will be that someone with whom I will be geeking about Soma Saito. So strap on and let's go and dive into this episode. New album. Well, this is something that I was expecting a lot for a long time because it made sense. Soma Saito doesn't release usually singles, he usually releases EPs or mini albums and full-length albums, so after 2 EPs it made sense for a full-length album to be announced. So this didn't come as a surprise to me. It was more the fact that he actually came forward and said that he has music to release that was a surprise to me, because it's been a while. So he has a new album coming. We still don't know the name of the album, but we do know that the sound is going to be, I should say, given that SEIYUU has already premiered for some people, that the sound is going to be eerily similar to Yin Yang, but not in tone, only in the instrumentals. I'm going to say this on record because I've said this before and I said a contradictory thing, is that I was never going to join a fan club. It so happens that I was so sick of waiting for any kind of news by Soma Saito that I ended up joining his fan club. It's relatively cheap, that's why I joined as well, so that's something that eases my mind, but still, here I am, I joined the fan club. So I joined Soma Saito's fan club last year, and I've been following everything that he's been doing quite closely. That's an advantage that you get by being part of the fan club, of course. And yesterday, let's say it's yesterday because today is June 10th and the live stream was on June 9th. Yesterday, Soma Saito held a special live stream on his fan club space, and he talked a bit about the announcements that he had for everyone else and what he was doing and what he had done up until now, and shared some tidbits about what or how he came to create some songs and what are his favorite music genres and the favorite things that he did before. It was quite an interesting talk, but I'm not going to dive too much into that because that's exclusive content for the fan club, so you will need to join the fan club to have access to that. But I'm going to share a couple of things that are a bit spoilery, but not as much as spoilery. So, if you know me, I do not like spoilers, but yesterday I had to come across spoilers because this was a live stream and I was not expecting Saito to premiere a song during the live stream. And since I can't skip forward to avoid the song, and even if I take my headphones off, I do not know when the song is over because, well, we don't know when the song is over. So I sat through it and I listened to a snippet of his new song, SEIYUU. this is the song that will be the leading track for this CD, for sure, because he was so confident showcasing this song, and it is going to be the first digital single to hit stores. So he's really confident about this song, and I can assure you that this confidence comes from a really good place. This is a song that sits in between Carpool and Genjitsu, which is to say Carpool was from In Bloom and Genjitsu was from Yin Yang. And the vibe is eerily similar to both, although I should say the rhythm to the song is more similar to Carpool than it is to Genjitsu. So it is a shoegaze type of song. It has quite the romantic feeling going on in there, but also, as Soma Saito said during the live stream, it feels almost like you are riding a bike and you have that sense of going on a journey. And maybe it is a journey of discovery, of self-discovery, and this may be well tied to what has happened in his life as of late. So this may be quite interesting to see and hear. So I hope that you guys are really excited about it. He premiered during the live stream a one chorus version, which is to say a version that is 1 minute and 25 seconds long, almost. And we get the intro, the first verse, the pre-chorus and the chorus until it caps off in the intermission leading up to the second chorus. So we got up until then and the song was really good. I was feeling the vibe, I was feeling that beat, so I can assure you that this song is going to be awesome. Of course, I don't know what awaits us in the rest of the song because Saito has his compositions with some interesting things going on in there. I can see a lot of influences of The Cure in here. That's a lot of shoegaze rock going on in there, and The Cure are masters at it. It sounds like, in some way, it has even hints of Friday I'm in Love by The Cure. You really need to hear this song because this sounds like a song that should have been released in the late 80s, early 90s, and not necessarily a song that would be popular or mainstream right now. It really sounds good, but it's really kind of a niche song. It's even more niche than Genjitsu was, and Genjitsu is quite the niche song. I'm not going to spoil too much, I don't recall the lyrics, I was too fixed on the instrumental to take in as much as possible to remember the beat and remember the vibe, so I didn't pay too much attention to the lyrics, but the lyrics, as of what Saito said, have quite the romantic feeling to them. It is interesting to see this because Saito once said that he's not the best person to write romantic things, he's not the most romantic person out there, and usually when he tries to write romantic things, they turn out to be quite tragic because his execution and the way that he approaches romance is quite tragic in a way. So I'm quite curious to see if this song actually goes the romantic vibe, but I felt when I was listening to the preview that the song was quite nostalgic in a way. It has romance, but I should say more a romanticized version of nostalgia, I should say. But once again, I just listened to a preview, I was on edge and quite excited to listen to new music for the very first time in 2 years, so I was a bit excited and I didn't take in as much as I wanted. But this is really the thing that I get from SEIYUU. This episode is dropping quite close to the release of SEIYUU as a digital single, so you will get your hands on this song quite close to the date this episode drops, so you may already have checked a snippet of it, but I'm sharing you the insights as of 1 day after the live stream, which is pretty raw to me, and as always I will avoid reviewing the digital singles because I want the full experience. With Soma Saito you need the full experience. If you get the digital single, don't listen to it. Support Saito, but don't listen to it yet. Reserve your full attention for the full-length album, because Saito said he has created concepts before, and most of his CDs are conceptual, and this time around will be no different. So the concept we do not know as of now, because we haven't seen any kind of photos, there aren't any kind of previews of the other songs in the CD, nor even the titles were unveiled beyond SEIYUU. The overall feel that we have in here is a bit devoid of any information right now because we do not know what is going on in there. But I believe with SEIYUU, listening to the full song, maybe you will get the gist, but as I've said before, listening to Soma Saito's music outside of an album gives a completely different feel of listening to the song inside of an album. A good example of that is Palette. Palette outside of an album was one thing, inside of an album it played an interesting role and it was much more impactful than as a digital single. So I will have to wait for the full-length album to actually give my impressions of what is the feeling of Soma Saito's music, but as of today, and seeing as I still recall SEIYUU, I loved the song to bits. and it has a mix of carpool. For sure, that's the swing in carpool in there. The guitars are being played in the same fashion, and you have the nostalgia of Genjutsu in this song. So you are mixing in Bloom with Yin Yang. It's quite quirky in the way that is mixing both CDs, as they have kind of complementary vibes, but still, if he goes for a romantic vibe, those are two of the darkest CDs that he has. So it is quite interesting that he went to grab inspiration in both CDs and ended up creating this song. On another interesting note, we know that this is a full-length album. Saito confirmed it. It was asked by the interviewer if this was a mini album or an EP, or if this was going to be a full-length album. He said a full-length album, which is to say all songs are new. All. So we are going to get a set of new songs. I can envision 10 to 12 songs and one hidden track, as usual. So this may be quite interesting, and given that he is going to premiere 3 songs before the album actually ends up in stores, we are going to get... I'm not, but you are going to get a snippet of what the album can be, but I feel that it's a bit risky to showcase 3 songs if the album is conceptual, because those 3 songs will be taken out of context, and some people may not feel that drawn to those because they are not understanding the story or what they are tied to. But that's me just thinking about the logistics of promoting an album. Still, we have an album coming in September, so be excited for that. I'm quite excited for it because it's been a while since I had new music from Soma Saito, and as you may know me by now, I'm kind of crazy about his music and the whole compositions that he does, the worlds that he creates for each story, and how each CD feels like reading a book. And I need new stories to unveil, I need to be surprised, I need to have my rug pulled from underneath me like he did in Yin Yang or like he did in My Beautiful Valentine. I want that to happen. I want him to play around with the listeners' feelings and the impressions of what the album will be, and then he is telling you a story, and then he gives you a curveball right before the end, and then the album is a completely different thing from what you initially thought. And this is something that makes me want to come back to his music time and time again. And this is what makes him, in my opinion, the most genius composer and lyricist among male SEIYUU. Yes, there are other singers and lyricists and singer-songwriters that are really amazing, but Soma Saito has something that no other SEIYUU artist or male SEIYUU artist has. He is a full package when it comes to music, lyrics, setting, story, and even the whole packaging. Everything matches, and he really has a lot of care to that. But that care comes, and this is something that he shared during the live stream, for his love for physical media. And he wants to have the CD having a meaning in some way, the packaging to tell you a story in another way, complementing the story that you get in the songs. So those that purchase the digital CD will never get the full experience of getting a Soma Saito CD in their hand, because you have the photos that are tied to the story, you have the CD design that is also tied to the story, you have everything around making sense, everything is tied up, and he makes sure that you are not just getting a jewel case with the CD inside, you are getting a full-on package that tells a story. And one thing that made me love My Beautiful Valentine a whole lot was that the CD itself, especially the limited edition, is a book. And you open it, it is a book. And this album is, as I said before, is the best album ever released by a male SEIYUU artist, hands down. There is no discussion in here when it comes to the genius that is in that specific album. And the fact that you have to open it like a book to actually access the CD is something that I love a whole lot. So that's an experience that very few people will have if they don't purchase physical media, like I do, for example, and like some other fans may do, perhaps even you. But you don't get the full experience because you are not getting the physical editions. But still, Soma Saito shared this with us, and he also added that, and this may be something that may influence the music that he created for this CD, but it is not confirmed. He said that he has been listening to a lot of metal rock music. He said that he is not the biggest fan of metal music, but as of late he has found himself enjoying metal music. And he has listened to a lot and has incorporated, he said, a couple of metal riffs in his music. Let's say that maybe we are going to get another Palette or Hayano. Maybe we are going to get those types of songs or songs similar to those, but even heavier in tone, especially on the guitars. Usually you need to understand that Saito, although he may have heavier music from time to time, Hayano is a good example of heavy rock music, and Palette as well, because it was more in the emo rock genre. But usually his music may sound aggressive because he is externalizing the emotions through the instrumental, because his voice is always calm at all times. Although he goes a lot into his emotional range, he usually sings in a really calm way. Sometimes he's screaming his heart out, but he's still sounding calm. The songs, especially the guitars, usually sing alongside him and scream and shout for him. And that's something that I love a lot and appreciate, because the singer doesn't have to do all the job to impress the listener, and the instrumental shouldn't be the only thing impressing the listener. So he does have a good balance in which he can impress the listener with his performance and the way that he delivers his emotions to the listener, and the instrumental complements that in a perfect way. If he is leaving some things unsaid, the guitars will scream and say those things that you are thinking Saito didn't say, but it is the guitars expressing that. And I do love that a whole lot. Another example is, for example, Uzumibi in My Beautiful Valentine. The drums are expressing everything they have to express in that suffocating soundscape, and the way that you are searching for an exit. The drums are doing that for you, and the guitars scream once again for help. And Saito is quite calm during the performance. Same thing in Mirrors in Yin Yang. He's quite calm in his delivery, but he's singing about something really serious. And it is quite a sad song, but is also calm for the duration of the song. Quite emotional. His calm in there is almost eerie, and this is something that adds up to the enjoyment of that song. The impressions of Sway are here, a mix of Genjitsu with Carpool. It's a song that I believe if you enjoyed any of those two songs, you are going to enjoy it. And you are going to experience for the very first time Soma Saito composing music with a romantic vibe underneath. As you might know, Saito got married last year around this time, and these may have influenced in some way the way he's looking towards his music or the stories that he creates. And bringing romance so well fleshed out to this song, I believe it is something that is heavily influenced by his new adventure in his personal life. So this is something that may end up making his music sound even more interesting, because he now has learned how to express that emotion that up until now he could only express in a negative, dark, and grim way. These are my impressions about the album, so let's dive into the next corner. Then we are going to get 3 digital singles. I already talked about Sway. This is going to be the very first single to drop later in June 2024. This episode is also dropping late in June 2024, so we are a couple of days away from the release of this digital single, and you are going to get the full-on sound that I got a glimpse of earlier this month. Then we are going to get, because these are consecutive digital singles and all the singles are going to drop on the 25th of each month, we are going to get another digital single in July 25th and August 25th. It's good that the one that is going to drop in August 25th is close to my birthday, so this is going to be cool. But we do not have, up until now, the titles of the songs that are going to be premiered in July and August, so we'll have to wait, of course. This is quite interesting because Saito said that he wanted these songs to lead up to the release of the album, so I believe that he's going to crank up the emotions until the album drops, and the album then drops, and it will be something that will sway your emotions completely. I'm expecting that, and I know that he has the smarts to create a really good build-up to the album release. I'm not going to review any of these, I'm going to wait for the full-length album to drop in September, so I'm going to exercise a bit more patience. Now I can exercise a bit more patience because I have waited for 2 full years for his music to arrive, and it's not a couple of months that are going to make my head spin in circles. So I'm going to wait a bit and be patient because I want to experience the album as he intends, instead of getting glimpses of something and then having to piece everything together when I'm listening. And this is all about the digital singles. Let's wrap up this episode talking about the new live tour. And of course, to wrap up the year, Soma Saito announced that he's going to hold a new live tour. This is going to be a live tour visiting a couple of prefectures that he hasn't visited before, and especially finally visiting Osaka, because last time around when he went on the 5th anniversary tour, he didn't get to visit Osaka because of COVID restrictions, so that was the only date in his tour that he had to cancel. And remember, he was basically on a tour when everything was being cancelled left and right, and he ended up managing to hold or basically perform in almost all dates minus that one in Osaka. So to pay back the fans, he's going to kick off the tour in Osaka in October. Then we have 3 dates in November in Aichi, Sendai, Kinta-Kyushu, and then we wrap up in December in Chiba. This is all about the live tour, and I believe I've already summed up everything about what Saito has to offer, so let's go to the last part of this episode. So we have a lot in hand in here. We have a 3rd full-length album dropping in September. A couple of days later, Soma Saito goes on his first live performance at the music festival in Yamanashi, his hometown, or home prefecture in this case, because he's from Kofu. And then we have, prior to that, of course, we have 3 digital singles dropping. One is in June, another in July, and another one in August, and all will be dropping on the 25th. The CD will also drop on the 25th, but of September. SEIYUU is a song that actually mixes Genjutsu with Carpool, so wait for that. It is a song that has a romantic vibe, the most romantic that I ever listened to Soma Saito singing. It has a lot of influences of The Cure in there, so expect a lot of shoegaze going on in there and a lot of effects going on the guitars. The live tour is going to kick off soon after in October, and Saito is going to visit Osaka and Aichi, Sendai, Kita-Kyushu and Chiba to cap off that tour. There's no information about a final live show that is going to be held at a bigger venue, so these are really small live houses in which he's going to perform live for the very first time in some cases. This was all about Soma Saito's music. He's going to be quite active in the last 2 quarters of the year. This is exciting because it's been a while since he last released music. What I heard in SEIYUU made me quite excited about what he has to offer. So I believe you are going to be quite excited about it, because I'm really critical about his music when his music doesn't hit the spot. But this song I only listened to 1 chorus and I want more. So can already tell that this is going to be good. This is not nostalgia talking, this is not my thirst for his music talking, it's really from a technical place. This song sounds really awesome, but I believe the rest of the CD is going to be even better. This is an episode that actually is going to be released close to the release of SEIYUU, so I hope this ends up quenching your thirst for more news about Soma Saito and more details, especially the fact that Soma Saito is incorporating a lot of metal in his music, which is going to be awesome. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I would love to know if you are excited about Soma Saito's comeback with the 3rd full-length album, if you are excited about the digital singles. In case you are part of the fan club, if you listen to SEIYUU, what did you think about SEIYUU? But please do not spoil too much in the comments, as I tried as well not to spoil too much in this episode. Thank you very much for watching or listening to this episode, and as always, if you are on a streaming platform, please follow this podcast and give it a review. It's really simple, you just need to hit that 5 stars or whatever stars you want and leave that review. If you are on Apple Podcasts, you can also leave a written review in there. This also helps a lot, but I'm not going to make you write anything. Write if you feel like it, but don't feel obliged to do it. And of course, here on the channel, on YouTube, please make sure to follow and subscribe to this channel and give a like to this episode. This helps a lot growing this channel, and I'm trying to make this channel grow as much as possible to spread the word about male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups to as many people as possible, talking about music in a more neutral way and actually learning and teaching things around here. So this is all from me. Thank you very much for watching or listening to this episode, and I'll see you guys soon.